Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to Hotline 21 on CAN TV. You're watching a live call-in TV show, so feel free to dial us up with any questions or comments. The number is at the bottom of your screen. It's 312-738-1060. My name is Alice Merrifield, and I'm here tonight with Cynthia Bradley. We're both from Beacon Therapeutic Diagnostic and Treatment Center. Beacon Therapeutic was founded in 1968 and has been empowering children and families by providing educational, mental health, and social services. I'm delighted to have Cynthia as a guest on our show this evening. Cynthia has served in the social services field for 25 years and will be describing Beacon's involvement with homeless shelters and homeless families throughout the city. Beacon delivers community-based mobile mental health services in 31 interim, transitional, and second stage Chicago helpers shelters to help families rebuild their lives and find permanent housing. Before we hear from Cynthia and the positive impact she's making in our community, I'm going to post some contact information about our organization. Now, please join me. Okay. So first, we have Beacon Therapeutic. That's our website, www.beacontherapeutic.org. Our motto is empowering lives and changing futures. This is all of our locations. We have our business office on West 103rd, our Longwood campus, which is our day school, our big IOP program, little IOP program. Those are intensive outpatient programs, and our outpatient clinic, all are at the Longwood campus. At our Calumet Park campus is our junior high and high school, and the Western Avenue address is our homeless outreach services, which includes our shelter outreach services, our FACT services, and our CHIPRA services and early Head Start services. Now please join me in listening as Cynthia Bradley talks about how for 42 years Beacon continues with its motto, empowering lives and changing futures. Again, feel free to call us with any questions or comments. The number again is 312-738-1060. So Cynthia, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're the director of our shelter outreach program.
Yes, and I've been the director of our shelter outreach program for the past 3 years. I've actually started working for Beacon about 9 years ago and was promoted throughout my tenure with Beacon.
That's wonderful. And what have been some of the positive experiences you have had at Beacon?
Well, there's been many positive experiences at Beacon, working with the families, working with my staff, and especially working with the children. I think that one of the things that Beacon has allowed us to do is to grow. We've grown professionally here. At Beacon, we've grown professionally in the office, meaning that I was able to promote many of my staff members to different program supervisors, as well as with the children. I saw smiling faces, which really made us very unique and good at what we do.
That's wonderful. Please describe what programs you supervise in sort of a general way and the population that you work with.
Well, the population that we work with homeless families, meaning single moms, sometimes with children, as well as dads bringing in their children. And not only do we work with families, but we work with married couples and their children. In terms of, I'm sorry, I forgot what the question was.
Well, why don't you let me put a picture up? Now, can you tell me what's going on in this picture?
In this particular picture, this is when we accompany some of our families to the Children's Museum. They were having a great time, I do believe, that day. They appeared to enjoy themselves, as most of the time that many of our families do when they're with us. I know that we've also had a picnic. We usually have an annual picnic every year, and during that time we have a beautiful time. We're able to provide them with different types of activities. Not only the activities, but we're able to have a clothing drive on that particular day. What our families do is they come to our clothing tent, and from there they are able to just get all the clothes that they need. One of the other good things that we are able to do as well is to make sure that we have uniforms for the kids. Sometimes we even have shoes, we have personal hygiene items, and we have school supplies. We've been very instrumental in making sure that our children get all the school supplies that they need, not only during at the beginning of school, but also throughout the year.
Well, that's really great. How do you get all the supplies?
Well, some of the supplies are donated internally by some of our staff members, as well as we're able to reach out to some of the churches. They will also assist us. Our board members, they've been very proactive in making sure that we get what we need for our clients.
What other services do you provide for the homeless families?
Well, we provide therapeutic intervention services going out to the shelters, meeting with the families, meeting with the moms as well as the kids, making sure that we provide therapy for them, counseling, and case management services. We do a lot of referring or linking into the community, as well as we allow our clients to utilize our phones. We accompany parents to IEP meetings. We deal with the children in terms of their self-esteem. We also do a lot of socialization groups out in the community, having children learning, teaching them and educating them in terms of how to interact with each other as well as those who they don't know. We also help the moms in terms of how to better interact with your child. So we provide them with a lot of tools, a lot of resources in order to make them successful in their ventures of trying to locate housing and mainstream back into society.
Okay, thank you. It looks like we have a caller now.
Hi. It seems like you do a lot of wonderful things with the kids, and I'm just wondering, as a corporation or a group for this holiday season, if we were interested in doing some in-kind donations or adopting you as a project this year, how would we go about doing that?
Okay, that's a great question. Thank you very much. But probably the best way in regards to any kind of in-kind donations is to talk to Peggy Rourke, who's our Director of Development. She can be reached at 773-298-1243. She sort of monitors those kinds of in-kind donations. A lot of times we will get like moving in supplies, cleaning supplies, linens, bed sheets and towels. Sometimes families need furniture. Sometimes families need basically anything that you need to start in a new house. Yeah. Other times we are looking for things, as Cynthia said, like backpacks and school uniforms and clothing for children. Sometimes we're looking for help with food or grocery store cards or things like that that go directly to the families. So really, but contacting Peggy Rourke at our business office at 773-298-1243 is absolutely the best way to find out exactly what we're looking for at that particular time. So what else do you do for homeless families? Are you assisting people move sometimes?
We do a lot of assisting people moving into various
and
locations
I'm going to show a
the
picture
metropolitan
here.
Area.
So that's one of our staff who
Right.
are helping a family move in.
Yeah, she's actually helping a family move in, if I'm not mistaken, it maybe to Iowa.
Okay.
That's another one of our staff members. He's putting furniture on a moving truck, and he will be helping them deliver that furniture to wherever.
That's wonderful. What are some of the challenges in assisting families in preparing for getting housing and ensuring that they have the necessary supports to maintain their housing once they are housed?
Well, one of the main challenges is trying to locate affordable and low-income housing, because we have a very difficult time in attempting to locate that particular need. So a lot of times what we've had to do is that we've had to look at resources outside of the Chicago metropolitan area. So we're moving many people to Danville, Rockford, Waukegan, Iowa, Indiana, Indianapolis. So one of the things that unfortunately what happens with these particular families, they're uprooted from their communities. They have a very difficult time in terms of trying to move to the new community. So what we do is we actually support them. We'll assist them in moving their belongings. We'll give them resources so that they are aware of what's available in their community, as well as we also utilize and assist them with tools to put in their toolbox. One of the things that we do is we will accompany them to these low-income resources or housing resources that are available, and from there we assist them in terms of making sure that they understand the application, that they're aware of how to communicate with the landlords or the tenant rights providers, whatever is necessary in order to make this a successful transition as they move from Chicago to other parts of either in-state, downstate, or to other communities.
Now, is this a shift from how you were able to house people or assist people with finding housing in the past in terms of where housing was actually found?
Yes, this is a tremendous shift, because in the past, when they start emptying out part of the CHA housing, many other clients did come to the shelter. What we used to could do in the past is we could have resources available right then and there to possibly assist them in moving. Now, one of the things now which makes it even more difficult is that many individuals, they move out of our catchment area. We normally service the entire metropolitan area of Chicago, and many of them have moved to the south suburbs. Not only have they moved to the suburbs, but they also have moved downstate. So once they move downstate, we do give them the resources that are necessary, as well as we have to make that transition in terms of transitioning them out of our program and moving them to those resources in other areas.
Okay. So how long does Beacon, if the families stay local, how long does Beacon follow up with services?
Well, we stay with our families for at least 6 months. For some families, we have to stay longer, but we normally stay to one for 6 months. When we're doing that 6-month transition, then we're trying to make sure that, are they budgeting their money? Do they have enough rent money to pay for their rent? Do they need for us to assist them or educate them in how to communicate with the landlord? Do we need to assist them or help make sure that the transition for their kids from one school to the next is going really smooth? So we kind of stay with them. We try to educate them to all the resources in the community, to any barriers that they may have, and then sometimes we move on. For some of our families, especially for our chronic moms who have a severe mental illness, we may have to stay with that family just a tad bit longer, because she may need more assistance. She may need assistance in terms of making sure that her children are stable, making sure that she's linked to the community mental health center for resources in terms of medication, making sure that she sees her doctor, making sure that her kids are up to date on all of their shots. So there's a lot of things that goes on with a family when a mom is chronically mentally ill. And we do have case managers and therapists that works closely with these families until they are stabilized in the community.
That's great. Can you tell me if there's any different kinds of challenges in housing families as opposed to singles?
Yeah, there's once again, the challenge is that's making sure that we can find adequate low-income housing, making sure that not only if it's not adequate low-income housing, but at least market rate housing that families can afford. When there's a single adult, it's much easier because they already have those things kind of in place in terms of there are a group of landlords that they're already working with, that they don't have to pay a security deposit, that the individual just can move in, that the individual, when they're a single adult, that they can afford maybe some market rate rents, where if there's a family of 6 and that family is only getting like $700 a month, then they have to look for a resource, especially in terms of housing. They have to look for a resource where we know it's affordable and enough bedrooms.
Okay. Can you, I know you described our children's services a little bit earlier. Can you sort of elaborate on what we offer children? And then I'm going to show sort of one of the pictures from the recent field trip.
Okay, well, I think in terms of our children, we offer them many resources because, it's very difficult when a child moves from one school to another. So what we offer them is we offer them a lot of support about any concerns that they may have. Children oftentimes, they have a difficult time adjusting to new school, new friends, so we're there for them to give them support. We offer them therapy, we offer them counseling, we offer them community activities. I know that one thing that we did in the past is that we used to accompany some of our kids to the museum. They went to DeSalvo Museum. Didn't have a clue what DeSalvo Museum was And so we actually accompanied them there. We took them there. They just got a chance to really enjoy. And many of them said they had never, ever been outside of the shelter, or not only outside of the shelter, but also outside of their community. So we have to educate them to their surroundings, to different surroundings, to let them know that there's another world that's out there besides the world that they have to live in when they're in the shelter. We also, too, have accompanied them out in the community to the various restaurants, showing them how to have good skills when you're out in the restaurant, how to eat with a fork, how to use a napkin, things of that nature. To show them that, gee, we go to buffets. So when you go to a buffet, you don't have to really put a lot of food in your plate. Take your time, slow down. A lot of times we deal with the children in terms of their self-esteem. Many of our children have very low self-esteem. When they live in a shelter, they're not able to always do all of their personal hygiene. So it makes it really difficult when they go to school. A lot of the other children make fun of them. And then they become really, really sad. A lot of them, won't talk. We've had children where we sit up for like three sessions before they finally open up to us and begin to communicate. And then from there, we learn something about that individual. A lot of our children really hurt. But as our clinicians, what they do is they take their time. They really listen to the children and help them to understand.
Thank you. What other programs and services at Beacon do the children access? And excuse me, it looks like we have a caller.
Yes, hi. I was wondering if I need some assistance in insurance, if Beacon has any programs that could help me with that.
Yes, we do. We have our children's health insurance program, and we will actually be talking about that in just a minute, but we can switch and talk about that now if you'd like.
Actually, I wanted to say, yes, we do. We have a program called CHIPA, which has been in existence for 1 year now. I spoke to the program supervisor and learned that over 250,000 people here in Chicago do not have health care insurance. So what we've been doing is we've been actually going out to some of the shelters. We've been doing a lot of community outreach. We've been even working with some of the unions and trying to make sure that children receive quality health care. Yes, what this particular...
And let me just add in there. So I've got the contact information for the Children's Health Insurance Program up. The contact person is Marge Dunn. She's out of our Western Avenue location, which is 773-233-3821. She's the supervisor of the Children's Health Insurance Program. Okay, Cynthia, go ahead.
Yes, and Marge, and she has a team of two other clinicians who can also come out and provide outreach services. This particular service is for children who do not have any medical insurance currently. And so what we can do is we can come out wherever you're located, wherever you are. We've even crossed boundaries over into Mokina. So wherever, if you're in Waukegan, we can also come out there. And we'll do an application on you, and then from there, we'll probably, I think the turnover is like maybe 2 or 3 days later, and we can verify if your children are eligible for health care services.
Okay. And how is that program funded?
That program is funded through... it's actually funded through some state funding and health care services.
The Department of Health?
Yeah, the Department of Health. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we were also talking about what other programs that some of our participants in shelter outreach services, whether it's the children or adults, get access to in terms of at Beacon. CHIPRA was one of them.
Right. We also have psychiatric services for both our children and our moms. We have psychological testing. We have a program called Little IOP, where children have emotional and behavioral problems. We also can link them to that program as well. So it's in many ways, we can kind of sometimes take a look at it as being almost a head start. But this program is really helpful in terms of kids who are experiencing emotional and behavioral problems, that they can get some kind of assistance before they move on into public schools. We also have our FACT program, Families Assertive Community Treatment Program. that works with moms between the ages of 18 to 25, helping them with a lot of assertive and intensive case management services, as well as therapeutic therapy and counseling.
Okay. And in fact, it's based on an assertive community treatment model modified to suit families. And you actually have quite a assertive community treatment background previous to Beacon, correct?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
I was actually a program supervisor, and then became program director of two assertive community treatment programs that work with chronically mentally ill adults. So I have a very extensive background in terms of working with the homeless population. I've worked with the homeless population for probably about 22 years.
Can you explain for our viewers just a couple of the basic principles of assertive community treatment?
Assertive community treatment is more like a hands-on program, that what you try to do is you do all of the services for the client. One of the things that I do believe in terms of assertive community treatment program is that you do a lot of the services for the client, but you also help to educate and teach them how to do the services for themselves. And I think that most of the times, if you continue to work with them, they learn by modeling you.
Great. So what else can you tell me? Can you describe some of the different sub-programs and how the shelter outreach programs are funded?
Well, there's actually, under the SOS Shelter Outreach Services umbrella, there's our HUD program, and our HUD program is funded, of course, by HUD. And there's at least, I think, almost 8 to 9 therapists and case managers on that particular team. We also have our Department of Family Supportive Services program, which there is about 8 people on that team. And we have our PATH program, which is there's 2 clinicians on that team, as well as we have a CHIPA program. And there's 2 full-time clinicians on the team and 2 half-time people. Okay. Right. So we all go out to the shelters providing homeless services to our families.
Is there any real difference between between the HUD program and the DFSS, the Department of Family Support Service program, and the PATH program? Is there any difference in the participants or how they qualify to receive those services?
No, not necessarily. There's no differences at all, because one of the things that we do is, because our families are so transient, actually our families move from one shelter to another, because at many of the shelters you have maybe a 3 to 4 month window to stay at these particular shelters. So if they can't find housing because of the lack of low income housing, then they indeed go on to another shelter. I think the one program that really deals with maybe some of our more difficult population would be our PATH program, and that's where you see the chronic mothers, the mothers who may be responding to internal stimulants, better known as schizophrenia, or those mothers who may have had a lot of trauma in their life and having a very difficult time, and the only way that they can maintain in the community is by having that hands-on person with them on sometimes anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week, providing services to them, not only to them, but to their family as well.
Okay. And I'm going to show you some information. This is some information about our Beacon Therapeutic 18th Annual Holiday Supper. It is occurring on Friday, December 3rd. Tickets are available through contacting Peggy Rourke at 773-298-1243. All of the money that comes from our annual holiday supper goes to homeless children and families and to support the shelter outreach services. So if you would like to buy tickets or to look at that, again, call 773-298-1243 and ask for Peggy Rourke. So we are starting to get low on time. Cynthia, is there anything else that you'd like to add for our viewers or think our viewers should know about Beacon and its programs?
Yes, I think that what our viewers should know is the wonderful team that we do have here at Beacon Therapeutic. Our shelter outreach services team is unlike any team that I've ever worked with before. We work with a very difficult population with some high needs. You know, those individuals, they come to us, they're looking for help. They need somebody to talk to. They need someone to maybe help them, guide them along. So I think that the team that I work with, they all have strengths. They have unique strengths that we really focus on. When we get together as a team, I think we do a lot of problem solving. I know we do a lot of problem solving. We help our families move one step at a time. Sometimes they're baby steps, sometimes they're gigantic steps, you know. But despite all of that, we really work with our families. Our families come to us. I've had families to call 2 to 3 years later telling us how much progress they've made over the years and thanking us for our help. So I think that's what really makes us very unique in our shelter outreach service program. I think that our families strongly benefit from the services that we provide, and I hope we can continue.
Okay, well, thank you. And thank you so much, Cynthia, for joining me on the show today.
Thank you for
Beacon will
having
be
me.
back on next Tuesday at 4:30, and our guest will be Kim McManus, our Director of Homeless Outreach Services. So thank you for joining us tonight.